Today, we're going to look at one of history's most fascinating figures, Lord Shiva, but through a totally different lens. We're not just rehashing old myths. We're exploring how his symbolism is being reimagined to give us some real, practical lessons for the world we live in right now.
So, this brings us to the big question that our source material kicks everything off with. Can a deity from thousands of years ago actually teach us anything useful about building stronger communities? Well, according to this text, the answer is a big, resounding yes. Okay, let's get into the core idea here. The source we're looking at presents Shiva not just as a god to be worshipped, but as our very first guru, a teacher. And the goal isn't about preaching. It's about planting ideas by unpacking 5 key lessons that are kind of hidden in his famous symbols. All right, lesson number 1. This one really challenges our whole idea of what it means to be a great teacher. You know, we usually think of these powerful speeches and big sermons. But in this view, Shiva's most important lesson wasn't something he said. It was something he did.
It all starts with this concept called Maun, which basically means silence. The story goes, Shiva sat on a mountain and just listened to everything, the cosmos, the world, all its suffering. So the idea is, if we want to be his students, our first job is to do the same, to actually truly listen to our kids, to our elders, and to all the stories in our society that usually go unheard.
So we go from that quiet power of listening to something way more dramatic. Lesson 2 comes from that famous story about Shiva drinking a deadly poison to save the world. But the source flips this and asks a new question. What's the poison of our time? And here's where it gets really powerful. The source draws this direct line between then and now. The mythical poison, that came from churning the ocean. But today's poisons? The text says they are things like casteism, hatred, and ignorance. And get this, it also includes the silence that lets all that poison spread. That's a really heavy thought, right? So it all boils down to this one direct question from the source. Shiva drank poison, what do we drink? Now, obviously, this isn't literal. It's a call to action. It's saying that to follow in his footsteps, we also have to be willing to take in some of that modern-day poison, to face hardship, to listen to the ugly truths, and to connect with people instead of just looking away. And that idea leads us straight into our third lesson. So far, we've been looking inward, at listening, at endurance, but now we're shifting our focus outward, and we're challenging the very idea of where we can even find wisdom. This next line is really the heart of it all. Har ghar mein Shiv, har gali mein Gita. It translates to Shiva in every home, the Gita in every alley. The point the source is making with this beautiful phrase is that wisdom and divinity, they aren't locked away in some temple or an ancient book. They're everywhere, in every single person, on every street corner, if we just learn how to see it. And to make sure this doesn't stay abstract, the source gives us these incredible simple examples. The real gurus walking among us, it's the kid who makes sure his sister can get to school. It's the woman who finds her voice and speaks up against something wrong. It's the young person who reaches across a social divide and makes a new friend. Each one is a teacher. Every single act is a lesson. Okay, on to lesson number 4. This one focuses on one of Shiva's most iconic symbols, his damru, that little hourglass drum. We're always told it creates the sound of the cosmos, the sound of creation. But what if there's another meaning? Something deeper hidden inside. The source literally asks us this question. What sound is really tucked away inside that drum? It's pushing us to think beyond this huge cosmic idea and to listen for something, well, a lot more human.
And the answer it gives, wow, it's really moving. The sound inside the damru isn't some big abstract cosmic bang. It's the collective sound of every single voice that has ever been silenced, ever been ignored or forgotten. It's the sound of all of our shared humanity, just waiting for someone to listen.
So what are these unheard sounds? They're the simple, vital things we miss every day. A little girl's laugh, a grandmother's stories that nobody ever asks to hear, a farmer's struggles that get lost in all the noise. In this interpretation, the damru becomes a symbol for the urgent need to turn up the volume on these voices. So,
what do we do with all of this? The fifth and final lesson is all about turning these big ideas into actual practice. This isn't just stuff to think about. It's a call to go out and build something real. And this is where the source introduces this concept of a MahaGita Centre. It's not really an organization, it's more of a philosophy made real. It's meant to be a space that works just like Shiva's Damaru, a place where every story matters, where there's no big or small, and every single voice gets a chance to finally be heard and to echo. And so this whole explainer leaves us with one last, really personal question. It turns the camera right back around on us. The text says that every heart holds a story. So the challenge it leaves us with is this. What story are you holding? And who out there needs to hear it?